Hey everyone, welcome back to another review. Today we'll be taking a look at two figures from Mojo Fun. It's their 2020 Mandschurosaurus. I ended up winning these figures from a giveaway that Everything Dinosaur held a few weeks ago, and these are my first Mojo Fun figures. I have known about the company, I just never got around to picking up any of their figures, but I was very happy to win these two Mandschurosaurus when they announced their 2020 lineup. This dinosaur right here definitely caught my eye, so I was really excited. I actually won figures I actually wanted to pick up. So getting back to these two figures right here, Mandschurosaurus was a late Cretaceous hadrosaur from China. It was actually the first dinosaur genus named from China. It is known from very poorly preserved material. Actually, that material is so poorly preserved that some paleontologists don't even consider this taxon valid anymore. So most reconstructions you would see of Mandschurosaurus are based on better preserved hadrosaur material. These two figures right here are pretty much sculpted as generic looking hadrosaurs since, like I said, the material is so poorly preserved, we really don't know what this animal looks like. Now you'll notice there are two color schemes with these figures. This one right here is going to be the mass market release. There was a lot of debate about the color scheme on this one right here. It was kind of, going around through the dinosaur toy collecting groups that this was just a prototype color scheme. This color scheme is going to be released to the public. I actually contacted Mojo Fun and they said this color scheme right here is going to be a China exclusive. It's only going to be available at shops in China. So that's good news. That means you'll be able to get this figure. It's going to be a little harder to get. It might be a little bit more pricey, but it will be available. All right, so before we take a closer look at these figures, let's do a couple of quick measurements. This figure is just about 10 inches long from the tip of the beak to the tip of the tail, and just about 4 inches high at the hip right here. Mandschurosaurus is estimated to be 26 feet long, so that will put this figure somewhere in the 130 scale range. All right, let's take a closer look at the color scheme on these figures, starting with this one in the back right here. Like I said earlier, this one will be the mass market release color scheme. You can see this one has a much more natural looking color scheme compared to the one in the back over here. This one is mostly done in a light brown with some nice shading along the legs and forearms right here. Get some nice muscle definition with that shading. And then along the back right here, this row of spikes, which is painted in red, which is then highlighted by a much darker brown. Turn the figure over, you can see the underside is done mostly in white. The feet and the arms are also done in a dark brown coloration. Looks like this animal's like trudging through mud, and the forearms and the legs got dirty. You have more of that darker brown coloration on the head right here. And then underneath the side, you have a bright red on that dewlap. So I would consider this figure right here to be the male Mandschurosaurus. And now this one right here, this color scheme will be exclusive to China. It is a much darker brown. You have darker brown right here, some more shading along the muscles on the legs and arms right here. You have this very dark brown coloration with this jagged pattern going all the way down the body to the end of the tail. I really like the pattern on this one because some dark brown spots along the side of the body, legs, and going all the way down the tail, and then some lighter brown spots on this dark black coloration right here. You can see the feet aren't muddy like the other version. You have black paint on the toe claws and the claws on the forelimbs, and then the beak on this one is painted in a lighter gray. This one's painted in black right here. So yeah, definitely a big difference between these two figures. I actually like how they have two different color schemes. You can put these two figures together and have it appear. Gives it some sexual dimorphism. Like I said, I'm gonna consider this one the male, and this one would be the female. All right, let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with that head sculpt. Like I said, Mandschurosaurus is a very poorly preserved hadrosaur. So this is a generic-looking hadrosaur head right here. Not to say it is a nice head sculpt. My only issue with it is I just think it's a little bit too wide. But other than that, I think it's a nice head sculpt. You can see the eyes painted in orange with a black pupil. The nostril is clearly sculpted right here, and you have some nice detailing along the beak on this head sculpt, and even inside the mouth right here is painted in pink. You got a nice dewlap hanging off the throat right here, and then going down to the body, you can see a lot of beautiful scale detail, all different size scales all over the body. This figure is very well textured, feels wonderful in hand. And then going to the back right here, you can see this row of spikes, which is accurate. There is a specimen of Gripposaurus that was preserved with these row of spikes along the back, so it's very cool that Mojo decided to include these on their Mandschurosaurus. And then going down to the hands right here, you can see it has 4 digits. You know, most of the hadrosaur figures we see nowadays have that oven mitt look, which is more accurate. But I have to say, this really doesn't bug me too much. The only issue I have, I just think the hand claws are just a little bit too pointed. And then going down to the legs right here, you can see the hind legs are very well detailed and muscled. And then going down, you can see the toe claws are painted in black. Like I said in the other one, it's just covered in brown like it walked through mud. Now, the toe claws are just a little too pointed and theropod looking to me. Usually, you know, hadrosaur hind claws are much more rounded and dull. And then going down to the tail right here, a very thick muscular tail base. Even from the top, a nice wide muscular tail and a very long tail at that. And this tail looks really great on this hadrosaur figure, very well proportioned. So all in all, this is a really, really well done hadrosaur figure. I really like it. I'm actually glad I won these 2 figures. Like I said, I was probably going to get them anyways, but yeah, I am quite happy with it. I'm always happy to get more hadrosaur figures. I just think they're very underrepresented in toy form, just like everyone has a Parasaurology figure, so it's nice to see a new species for a change. All right, let's move on with some comparisons. I have a few other hadrosaur figures to compare to these guys. First up is the Safari LTD Gripposaurus, and like I said, you can see it has the spikes along the back right here, which this figure has, which is very cool that they included that. And right here is the Safari LTD Parasaurolophus, and here is the old retired Safari LTD Edmontosaurus. And I gotta say, the color scheme is kind of like a mix between these 2 figures right here. So if you wanted to, you could maybe include this smaller Edmontosaurus figure as like maybe a juvenile Mandschurosaurus to display with these 2 figures. And right here is the brand new Safari LTD Edmontosaurus. You can see how these 2 figures size up to each other. The Mandschurosaurus is just a little bit bigger than the Safari figure. And lastly, for comparisons, we have the PNSO Mandschurosaurus. Let me just get this one out of the way right here, which was one of their first figures that they released when PNSO first came around. And this is a hollow vinyl model that right now does not want to stand too well. You can see it, you know, sculpted like a generic hadrosaur. Is definitely a lot bigger than the Mojo Fun figures, but this is a hollow vinyl figure and is incredibly light compared to these figures right here. All right, final thoughts on these 2 figures. Like I said, these are my first Mojo Fun figures, and I have to say, I am quite impressed with them. I am very happy with these 2 Mandschurosaurus. I just have a couple tiny nitpicks, like I think the head is just a little bit too wide, and the claws on the back feet are just a little too pointed for my taste. But other than that, I think these are 2 really great figures. I am quite happy with them. I'm always happy to get new hadrosaur figures from any company, as long as they look good, and these figures definitely look really, really great in my eyes. And like I said already a couple times throughout this review, this one right here will be the mass market release, and this color scheme right here will be exclusive to China. Now, these figures aren't available yet. They are unfortunately being delayed because of the coronavirus outbreak. Everything Dinosaur said that they should be expecting them around June at the earliest for the new Mojo Fun figures. So definitely check out Everything Dinosaur's website for when these figures come into stock. Hopefully they won't be delayed much more later than June. I'm actually probably going to pick up a few more figures from them now because I am quite pleased with these. So I'm very happy that I won these from Everything Dinosaur. So that will do it for the review. As always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.